Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. It's the first match of the tournament. Not necessarily the first one that was played, but the first one that I'm airing. This is the Red Pocket Rockets versus Mr. Worldwide, with Red Pocket Rockets playing as Blue 4. Now, the tournament rules are, in case you missed it, 3 versus 3. You're playing Conquest, you have a half hour, and, more importantly, you have no income. So, you start with 1,000 points each. If you run through those points, good luck, you're going to have to make do with the points and the units that you have. So that leads to some very interesting situations, such as this match on Paddy Field. Now, it's the larger version of Paddy Field, it's the 2v2. If you rotate the map like this and you discount those sides over there, you get Paddy Field 1 versus 1. But these guys are doing 2 versus 2, which actually makes it very interesting, because you either have to invest a lot in command vehicles, or you just have to not capture some sectors and just ignore them. Now, there's no major nations in this tournament, which means everybody has to play a different nation, and no US, no USSR, and no coalitions. Israel is allowed, in case you were wondering. And yes, there were some discussions about that, but Israel, while having strong units, does also have weaknesses. And I'm just going to allow it in the tournament, so long as everybody plays a different nation. So this leads to some interesting decks and some interesting scenarios that you normally don't see, because you either have more income or because you have access to units from different nations that you can then combine into one deck. None of that in this game mode. Now, these two teams are going to have to make a choice. Do we invest a lot in command vehicles, or do we just try to push out the enemy of their command sectors and make sure that they don't get any income? Let's see what Blue 4 is starting out with. They're going to go with, looks like a Dutch deck here on the left. I'm seeing the Cheetah, YP408s, even an Eyehawk to deal with enemy anti-air. Looks like it's going to get its own little resupply truck. Recon Bird. On the right-hand side, we have the Israeli, the French, and over here, this is Spontaneous Irony, who's going with T72 M1 mod, so I believe that's Finland. XA185 KTs, definitely Finland. The KRKK can be very dangerous in this situation, because a grenade launcher against infantry is of course deadly in normal situations. But if you have very little opportunity to resupply the infantry, or even to call in new infantry, then a grenade launcher becomes even more dangerous to work with. Now, we got a CV here from Spontaneous Irony, we got a CV here from Pathfinder, and that leaves one more CV. Looks like Pathfinder's going to deploy a second one to head to Charlie. So where is the other CV currently? That's the CV from Nickinator. And Nickinator might go for Gulf, because it's another +2 sector. Now, the plan over here seems to be that General Hearn is going to push towards India. Gosrith had a CV marker over there, but might have moved it away. General Hearn is also going to go there. Pathfinder is going to try and counter him in Lima. And over in Hotel, I think we're going to see Crimson Shin with the Israeli deck. He might be operating here, and especially with those Magland teams, they're going to have a pretty easy time attacking anything that comes into view. Now, I'm going to keep it in neutral viewer, and I'm going to try and keep it a bit balanced as to which side I cover. But it is a 3v3 on a large map, so there will be definitely things that I miss. And, well, tough luck. I can't spot everything, I can't see everything, and I cannot commentate on everything. I'll just try to pick the highlights. Interesting to see the Chinese are opening up with a bird over here. And yes, I do not consider China a major nation in this situation. It is a powerful deck, sure, but it does have some weaknesses, much like Israel. Now, the Panther from Gosrith is going here into India, quickly trying to capture the sector. And with it, they're going to start it with a temporary point lead, but of course all the CVs still have to move into position. Pathfinder is still moving his into position, Nickinator is relocating his one in Gulf. They have captured India, Blue 4. And Pathfinder is moving into position with BRD M1s, Topaz 2As, and a T72 M1 Wilk, with one ROM in support for anti-air purposes. There's a J5 coming in, which dropped napalm, but a bit early, I'd say, on this position over here. And they get countered by no fewer than 2 Rafale CF1s. That's a big air investment. And a Block 15. This right here is 360 points. Plus another 145. That is 500 points already invested in air power. Out of the original 3,000. And that's not even counting any command vehicles. So it looks like Blue 4 is going for a pure air dominance role. Which, if they keep those Rafales alive, could very well work out. But I think that both of them got hit at the same time. Yeah, these guys are operating so close together that the ROM was able to fire one missile and hit both. So that's bad news for Blue, as both of those ROMs are out of the fight for a while. Oh, sorry, and both of those Rafales. And that leaves the Su-27 SK on patrol, with really no counter, except for anti-air. Now Red is rushing into position here. We got a Sissy team, we got an HEGM team, anti-air team. And they're immediately getting fired at by AML 6020 servals, which are putting up a smokescreen, making sure that none of the units over here are going to take any HEGMs from these guys. Echo seems to be firmly in the grasp of Red 4, and Red 4 is even making their way to Lima, which is pretty much open, and actually so is Mike, because there's only 2 anti-air units, 2 Shinav, 1 Merkava 3, and a Magland team. That is all. And you're going to see this happen a lot in this tournament, where teams just don't have the points to field a lot of stuff. They don't have the availability. It's going to be very small level skirmishes. Mahbet tries to push forward and gets repelled by, I think, the HEGM over here. Yep, here comes the HEGM. Killing off the Mahbet, but they still have the 2 Shinavs over here, so Blue 4 should be fine. This allows Red 4 to push up. Block 15 is temporarily on patrol, but gets pulled away. And it looks like Crimson is bringing in a couple more reinforcements with the Anafa transports. Blue 4 seems to be going for a quick grasp and hold strategy, as they have a +2. And I'm not seeing any new command vehicles from Red 4 come in, which means that Blue is going to be ticking in points for quite a while. There's a Firebau on patrol. Nickinator seems to be teasing out the anti-air, and notices that there is no anti-air response, but at least it's not radar guided. Aircraft goes down. The Block 15 does take a missile in return from, I think, the ROM over there, because the Ito wouldn't be in range. Firebau keeps circling, and the Cortal is unfortunately out of missiles, so even the infrared response over here is gone, which could leave Red 4 in a pretty decent position here. Now, the move is on to Red 4. Red 4 is going to have to make a move either here or here, because this area is heavily Blue 4 dominated. So they'll have to push somewhere. And the real question is, how are they going to do it? Because pushing into Mike is not easy. Pushing into this sector is similarly difficult, especially as Blue 4 is pretty heavily dug in. They got their YPRs, they got a KCT, countering any flanks, Stoottroepen inside the buildings, and the Heels is providing anti-air defense. And it is going after the Firebau, but Firebau has good ECM and it misses entirely. Red 4 CV gets spawned in. That's probably going to head to Bravo. Missile hits from the Heels, but now it runs out of missiles. So hopefully the guys over here still have some, but no, the Shinav's out. And that J5 is just flying around. Not a worry in the world. This guy is out of missiles. The Crotal has reloaded. Or rather, it has a missile, but it's still reloading the missile into the actual tube, so it cannot fire. Bit of mortar fire going in on Red 4 units as they're trying to cross over here. They're trying to potentially get to this building here or move up to this ridge. And this, by the way, is normally the forest and the tree line where you're countering. Normally the capture sectors are divided a bit different if you're playing the 1v1 variant. There's another CV coming in for Red. They got one here, another one here. If they capture 2 sectors, that's going to make the income from Blue 4 negated. But it's not the end of it. Hold on, is that a third? It's a third CV coming in. So one's moving. The second 2 are still lagging behind a little bit because they got called in later. That's another 300 points that they just called in. I wonder how much points they still have in reserve. J7H from Nickinator comes in. The Rafales are back on point. And they're eager and out for blood. But no joy, as the NTR already took care of it. But that leaves red with 1 jet less. They're still at a +2 for now. Now, interestingly, blue 4 doesn't have to push. But they probably don't know that all of those CVs are on the way. And I think it's a good idea that blue 4 is not pushing, because pushing is always the more risky thing to do. You push, you risk losing a lot of units. And that's something you cannot afford in this game mode. Doing a bit more artillery fire on this position where I think they might be suspecting that there's units over there. They're not wrong, but they're just a little bit off. It looks like the Leopard for Kenning is doing some probing, and so is the 762. They know that red 4 has now captured this sector, and if they can push back, they might be able to flush this command vehicle out and get their +1 back. Even a Duff truck is being brought in, just to serve as a bit of a bullet magnet, because it's not going to survive, but what it can do is force the Picota to engage it. In which case, the Leopard and the 765-25s will be able to take shots at them. Immediately, mortar fire strikes the last known position of these guys. But unfortunately for the Dutch, the T-72 is now fighting back and takes out one of the 765s. Another aircraft coming in from Spontaneous Irony, the Hawk 51. And the Hawk seems to be going towards the middle. I wonder if they know where the concentration of blue 4 group is, but are they going directly for the mortar? Not with 2 Rafales in the air, they're not. Red 4 loses another jet. Red 4, however, is now to +1 because they captured 1 more sector. Small encounter here between a Ram Recce and the Yekeri. Yekeri were not really going to be too impressed by that 1 truck. And it looks like the ATGM over here shut it down. It does seem like blue 4 is making a move on this sector. Slowly and carefully. They still have 150 points versus 19, but red is gaining. Slowly. Bit of artillery fire going in on the last known position of the Yekeri. Looks like they're trying to avoid fire. So far, very successfully as well. Immediately, Pathfinder puts up an attack marker on the known position of the mortars. Gosrith is playing a dangerous game with not moving these things around, but I'm not sure if red actually has a mortar or an artillery unit. Yeah, they are bringing in a Tlak 84. But shell travel time from the Tlak all the way over there is going to take a while, so countering these mortars is going to be pretty tricky. The Yekeri are finally getting hit. And just look at how vulnerable this position is. You can pretty much take a tank or even an infantry squad and just either drive or walk across this plane and hit the CV here and there. If you are playing in the tournament, I would recommend that you constantly keep probing the enemy lines, because it is going to be a weak position somewhere, you just have to find it. And there might in fact be more weak positions than you imagine. Now it looks like General Hearn is putting up a smokescreen here. I don't expect blue 4 to take the offensive here, because they simply don't have the units. They got 1 group of Chayatet, but I think that what they're trying to do is make sure that these units don't interfere with the Chayatet's offensive against the Kartsan Yekeri. So the Merkava 3 is on point, trying to assist the Chayatet. The mortar fire is pushing the Kartsan Yekeri back, and now they know where they are. They really want this building, and the Twardi is trying to assist their Kartsan Yekeri, but is not pushing out. And it's actually helping the Twardi, this smokescreen. For now, that is. Blue 4 has spotted another BRDM there. And over here, there's a bit of a standstill. Red 4 currently at 48 points versus Blue 4's 150. They have spotted the Kartsan Yekeri, probably the Maglans. Yet another J5 flies in and gets nailed again by either the Rafales or the Grotal or a combination. SU-27 flies in and counters the Rafales unsuccessfully, not having hit anything. And the Firebau flies in, this time gets pursued by the Block 15 and gets nailed. So that's Red 4's anti-air capability severely diminished. I'm not sure why Red 4 is really trying to tempt Blue on a fight like this. Because they know that Blue 4 has those 2 Rafales. And they probably know how dangerous those things are. As they have already lost quite a few aircraft to them. Again, a bit of a standstill, but in this case the standstill is actually in favor of Red 4. Because Red 4 does not need to push. They just need to defend. Chasseur and Vab are engaging an XA-180, which also has a machine gun. Fortunately, it's not one of those KRO-KKs with the grenade launchers. And the Carton-Yekeri are assisting with a machine gun, but not yet with the law, because the Vab is definitely out of range. There goes the transport. Hotel is not really a strategic position at the moment. It's more of a skirmish area. But there's not that much going on because neither party is trying to capture it with a CV. Because well, you can't hide it anywhere. Well, maybe Red 4 could put one here if they were really desperate. But they're not. They are at a +1. The Twardy is detected. Is Blue 4 going to capitalize on that? There's the Block 15. It just pulled back into cover. The Block 15 takes 2 missiles, evades one, gets hit by the other, and she's toast. That's an expensive loss for Blue 4, as I think that was their premier anti-tank plane, and maybe their only one. Picota Smack pushing forward. Leopard's also still looking to get into this sector, but a Leopard for Kenning versus a T-72 M1 Wilk. It's really going to depend on who gets that first shot off. Because the Leopard can pen. The Leopard has 10 rounds a minute rate of fire. This thing has 9. This thing has a better gun. And the Leopard has less armor. So this is in the favor of the Wilk. Wilk is 87% accuracy. These guys are not actually targeting the Wilk. They're targeting the Picota. I think they don't have the line of sight yet. Temporarily got a lock on and then immediately pulled back. Both tanks. Again, small skirmishes. Probing where the enemy's weak. Apparently, Spontaneous Irony still has points and is calling in another infantry unit. Pathfinder's also bringing in another unit. It looks like the KCT, the General Hearn's KCTs, have spotted the BRDM. So if there is any artillery unit available, they can try and counter that unit. Need... what? Need Igoi? Elgoi? I don't exactly know what Spontaneous Irony means there. Blue 4 is organizing their logistics. I wouldn't be surprised if that VLRA is going to get detected very early on by the Erics. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? Because they might have eyes on it. But unless that Twardy comes out and actually takes a shot at it, this VLRA is just going to make it to its destination. General Hearn left the game. Now note how he didn't surrender, so I think he crashed. That is unfortunate for him. And especially for his team, as it's now just Crimson Shin and Gosrith operating together. And they are already on the back foot, as Red is gaining on their point score. They have 110 versus the 150 from Blue. Artillery fire, just randomly firing at a possible position for Blue 4 CV. But the command infantry is not actually there, although it is a fair guess that an infantry command might be hiding out there. Just as I say, it's a fair guess that you can find a CV here, or here, or here. These buildings and these tree lines just really lend themselves pretty much to becoming a CV hotspot. Another logistics vehicle comes in. What are you guys trying to resupply? The guy overshot the crossroads. The Twardy is still keeping silent. And I can understand why, because they probably know that the Merkava 3 is still out there. Merkava 3, 23 AP, 65% accurate, 22 frontal armor. 22 AP, but 20 frontal armor and 60% accuracy. So the Merkava 3 is just a better tank than the Twardy. The Twardy would not win that. They're asking for a resupply on the Ito 79. There. Oh, they're moving their logistics around. Yeah, got it. Oh, look at that. Crimson Shin still has enough points to buy a Zelda with a command infantry. So he has kept some points in reserve. I wonder what they're hoping to capture, though. Sure, hotel is open. It's just one recon team, one AA team, and a transport, and that is all. All that you would need to push in here is, well, an autocannon vehicle. Or a well, not a Panther, because the Panther's going to get shot down by the AA team. It looks like we have an attack from General Hearn. Stoottroepen, Corps Mariniers pushing forward with support from the Leopard. To some extent, because it's not that useful in that position. I hope that these guys can work together and take out that Wilk with the AT-4. Otherwise it's going to be a really rough day for the Dutch. Looks like they hit it once. Twice. Artillery flying in. Stunning the tank. And the tank is down. That leaves Redford in a terrible spot here. As they don't have anything here. It's just anti-air, one Conquerors team, a recon, and a CV. And Redford just lost another plane. That was a fighter. They did do some damage against the Rafale, but nothing too serious. And over here, Blueforce also probing. And they have once again found the Yekeri team, which I think is the team that we saw limping back here. Having been, I think, resupplied and then pulled back into a position. Pushed back to the front line. Panther's pushing. And getting shot at by the I-286, but not hit. And these guys still have plenty of missiles. They hit one. They missed one. They still have 4 left. And the Panther is dropping back below the tree line, so unable to get further targeted by the Ito team. CV is moving. Nickinator is moving his CV to Leo. Leo? Does he mean Lima? And he says put CV over here. Right, so in the woods. So you can quickly pull it out if the KCT or other Dutch troops get too close. Again, a counter here. I think they're saying that this thing needs to move. One more HGM team from Spontaneous Irony is being brought into position. With the amount of forces that Bluefor has over here, they could easily push. But again, they don't know that, of course. They have eyes on the Twardy. The Bedouins have taken up position where the Shayatet were, and these guys have far better optics than the Shayatet. So now we just need something that can take out the Twardy. The Merkava 3 with the Lahat missile can definitely pack a punch. But launching an HGM at this Twardy... Well, the Twardy's not going to sit there and wait for that HGM to fly in. KCT seems to be, well, either forcing the Commandosi out or they're just probing. And the Commandosi are being pulled back. Maybe to set up a perimeter for a CV to be brought in here. Stoottroepen and Corps Mariniers have pushed this guy out, which leaves the points at almost similar scores, 150 and 156. We're not quite there yet. They still have 10 minutes to make a move. The Twardy has taken a severe hit. Merkava 3 is slugging it out with the Twardy. And the Merc wins it. That just leaves one Hypnerit and one Eric's team over there, and that is all. So now let's see if Bluefor is going to make a move. I think they're mostly focused on this area right now. The KCT have encountered the Commandosi, and they have incurred serious losses, but the Commandosi are still coming. You're going to have to pull these guys out right now. Stoottroepen and Corps Mariniers are making sure that nothing else is going to push into this sector. Cutting off effective lines of reinforcements. And the Commandosi got them. The KCT are gone. Let's see, where's that CV gone? Oh, here it is. It's over the bridge, close to Delta. Got a Rafale on air patrol. I think at this point they've neutralized the majority of Redforce's air force. Another XA-185 KTs coming in with elite troops. Interesting. Leopard for Kenning has spotted the Commandosi and is slowly pecking away at them. And it looks like it's getting assistance from an unlikely candidate in the form of an anti-air gun. But a cheetah is just as effective when dealing with infantry. But a Conqueror's team quickly puts an end to that. Saves the Commandosi, and the Commandosi are pulling back. They also know that they're pushing here. KCT are going to incur some losses as they push onto that BRDM. BRDM is also getting hosed down by the M2 Browning on the YP408. And it looks like the BRDM is really inaccurate. They've neutralized the flank defense. Where's that second CV gone? They didn't kill it, did they? Oh, here it is. I thought it was going to head to Bravo, but they retasked it, and it's now going into the sector of Hotel. Secure. Nickinator's asking for help, because Blue is making a move. Gosrith is pushing forward with the Commandos Para, and the VAB for support. The CV immediately gets moved back out of the sector, having gained only 1 point. There's an ATGM team which is trying to assist against any vehicles that might threaten the offense by the Commandos Para, but the Commandos are already getting wiped out by a combination of Sissy and 2 transports. The HVMS is over here, and it is a great support unit, with a bit of a caveat as it can only target vehicles, not infantry. They're saying just get 33 more cap. They just need a bit more in points. 7 minutes left, and Blue 4 is now gaining points again. That's because they captured Lima. There. That's the Hapak that came in with the Zelda. Looks like that Merkava is going to need a bit of repair, and I think that's why the Rio are there. And there we go. The CV from Red is back here. I don't think Blue 4 can see it. Otherwise, they would immediately put down an attack marker and I would already be scrambling forces. So at least Red 4 is no longer bleeding points. But neither is Blue 4 gaining them. Corps Marinier versus Raneko Yekeri. It'll be a tough fight. These guys are worried. These are shaken. Now the Corps Mariniers are also shaken. 4 versus 4. 3 versus 4. Oh crap. 185 KT is going to help out. That's going to be the death of the Corps Mariniers now. Yep, they're gone. 1 left from the Commandosi team. 6 minutes left. +1 for Blue. The CV is once again being told to leave right now. They have outstayed their welcome. HEGM follows it and misses. CV's on the run. VAB in hot pursuit. There's still one lonely AA team over there, which is now caught behind enemy lines. And look at that VAB go, just full on chasing the CV down. It's pretty much over for Red 4 at this point. Because they have nothing that's stopping these transports from rushing not just this CV, but also moving into Gulf and then Foxtrot. If they get Gulf neutralized, that's a +3 for Blue. And keep in mind that Blue is still playing with just 2 players versus the 3 from Red. Again, Blue doesn't really need to push, but if they can push, they might expedite the defeat for Red. VAB is still going 150 on the roads, trying to pursue that CV. I don't think they can still see it, because the VAB only has poor optics. But they're probably thinking, you know what, there might not be anything here. But there is. And the Telak 84 takes it out with a direct shot. You don't see that every day. That was the 155 K70 with an AP shot, doing 14 AP, and instantly kills off the transport. I don't think I've ever seen that. And he's now using the Telak 84 in a direct assault role. Well, more like a direct defense role. KCT engaging with the Raneko and the XA-185, but that thing is still there. And still a massive threat to infantry. Ram Reki is now pushing forward, trying to actually find something. And so is the Shaitet. And it turns out that there's not that much to find. The Shy Tet are going to have a very easy kill versus the BTR. And the Ramreki are just going to push out the AA, which is really the only thing that Red 4 has left in the middle of the map. Blue 4 gaining points again, and they're quickly going to be at a +2. Yep, they found the CV. CV's trying to return fire, but the Shy Tet's having nothing. And Blue 4's at a +2. Get it to Boris, is what they're saying, which is Bravo for Red 4. And interestingly, we actually have a Scot 2 going on the offensive. If that Leopard for Kenning is not able to intercept it, they could very well pose a threat. Gosrith is moving his Panther into position. He might know that that transport's over there. What are you targeting? No, you're targeting the wrong thing. And you're getting killed off by the Conquerors team. The Panther is going to have to be the one to stop that Scot if they want to make sure their CV survives. And it does. Blue 4 at +3. And they're mopping up. There's the CV. This is a very well-traveled CV from Nickinator. And they have once again re-established Commander Bravo. It's not very solid, but it is a command. VAP 2013 just rushing straight through the forest and neutralizing another CV, putting blue at a +5. Alpha's been neutralized. That just leaves them with Golf and Foxtrot and no units whatsoever. They do have the one to luck. It's parked in a sort of ambush position, but it cannot maneuver. It has no fuel. And the VAP 2013 just rolls in, the Merkava 3 rolls in, and finds that the CV over here in Fox is already dead, and Blue 4 gets the points. They win with a total victory, courtesy of the time running out, 30 minutes flat, and 415 conquest points for Blue, 150 conquest points for Red. Very interesting match. Very interesting. The way that Blue 4 initially just captured terrain and held, and then Red 4 instantly just snapped 3 CVs out, and quickly got a bit more conquest points secure. Well done to both teams. Now this is the first match of many. There are a lot of teams who signed up. I have the tournament at 40 teams right now. I'm not going to be covering every replay, but I will be doing a fair number of them. And let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section on these matches. Especially an artillery gun or an artillery unit just straight up killing a transport that's rushing a CV. Those are the kind of weird and curious encounters that I love to see in this tournament, and I hope you do too. Well played to both teams. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you soon for more Wargame.